Hello everyone, I am Dipinti Malandhar, currently studying MTech at IIT Jodhpur in the Computer Science and Engineering department. As a part of our Virtualization in Cloud Computing course assessment, we have to create 3 virtual machines using any hypervisor. So I have used Oracle VirtualBox Manager and created these 3 virtual machines named as VM M20CS0201, 2 and 3 respectively. These all 3 virtual machines are Linux based virtual machines. The main task is we have to install a web server in virtual machine 1, and in virtual machine 2 we need to install a database, and from virtual machine 3 we need to access the web application which is created in virtual machine 1. Since in virtual machine 1 we have to install any web server, so let's check it out. I have already started these all virtual machines. So in virtual machine 1, let's check. I have installed Apache web server in this virtual machine. So writing this command, we will be able to check if Apache 2 is installed properly or not. Service Apache 2 status. Here we can see that Apache 2 has been installed correctly. Now in virtual machine 3, I have installed MySQL database. So again, checking it if it has been installed properly or not, we need to write this command mysql -u root -p password. Here we can see that MySQL has been properly installed in this virtual machine 2. Since here we need to connect all these 3 virtual machines, so we have to configure its network configurations. So going to the settings of the virtual machines 1, we have to set up all these virtual machines network as in the adapter 1 we have to set it as NAT, which stands for network address translation. It is the simplest way of accessing an external network from a virtual machine. It enables the virtual machine to connect to the internet. So in adapter 1 of all these virtual machines, we have to set it to NAT. And in the adapter 2, we have to set it to host only adapter. Why we have set host only adapter is that since here we need to connect all these 3 virtual machines, this host only adapter lets us to connect all these virtual machines as well as to our host system. So all these virtual machines has been configured the network as NAT in adapter 1 and in adapter 2 host only adapter. Now in order to check whether all these virtual machines can communicate with each other, we need to know its IP address. So let's check the IP address of virtual machine 1 by this command ifconfig-a. Here we can see that the IP address of virtual machine 1 is 192.168.56.100. Similarly, IP address of virtual machine 2 is, let's check it out, ifconfig-a. Its IP address is 192.168.56.101. Of virtual machine 3, let's check it out. ifconfig-a Here we can see that its IP address is 192.168.56.102. So now let's check if all these virtual machines can talk with each other by writing this command ping. Writing this command in virtual machine 1 to check if it can connect with virtual machine 2 and 3. Let's check it for first of all virtual machine 2 by writing its IP address 192.168.56.101. Here we can see that these data have been transmitted as well as received by virtual machine 1 and 2 respectively. Similarly, for checking for virtual machine 3, we can see that data has been transmitted and received successfully. Similarly, let's check for virtual machine 2. Ping 192.168.56.100. This is the IP address of virtual machine 1. Here we can see that the packets are received and transmitted properly. Similarly, for checking for virtual machine 3, we can see that the packets have been transmitted and received properly. Now, lastly, checking for virtual machine 3, ping 192.168.56.100. This is the IP address of virtual machine 1. Here we can see that this virtual machine 3 and 1 also can communicate. Similarly, checking for virtual machine 2. Here we can also see that the data have been transmitted as well as received for virtual machine 2 and 3. Now we can see that all these virtual machines are connected with each other. So now checking for our host machine in the similar way, if it can connect with all these three virtual machines, writing the same command 192.168.56.100. This is the IP address of virtual machine 1. Here we can see that the packets have been received and sent. Similarly, checking for virtual machine 2, we can see that the packets are received and sent. Checking for virtual machine 3, we can see that we are getting the replies. So here we can see that all these virtual machines 1, 2, 3 can talk to each other, as well as the host can also talk with all these three virtual machines properly. Now in the next part we have to in the virtual machine 1, since I have installed a Apache web server, I have created a PHP-based web application. First of all, let's run the web application in this virtual machine 1. 127. This is the IP address of 127.0.0.1 is the IP address for Apache. And here form.html is the form that I have created to store this name, email and message data to store in the database. The database resides in virtual machine 2. Now we need to show that this web application can be accessed. Web application which resides in this virtual machine 1 can be accessed through this virtual machine 3. So let's open the web browser in virtual machine 3. Since the web application is in virtual machine 1, writing its IP address 192.168.56.100/form.html. Here we can see that this web application is also accessed from virtual machine 3. Now let's write the data. Let's write a new data, Lenovo. Email is lenovo@gmail.com. Messages, let's check Lenovo from virtual machine 3. Now let's submit it. we can see that previously these all were the data stored in the database. Now the data that we have just entered has been stored in the database. We can check it. We can also check it from virtual machine 2, where our database resides, by going to MySQL root, writing its password. The database name is Legion, Legion, and I need to display all the datas in this database. My database table is user details, so select all from user details. Here we can see that the data Lenovo at gmail.com. Let's check. Lenovo from VM3 has been stored in the database. So here we can see that the virtual machine 3 can be used to access the web application, and the data can be stored as well, and we have also displayed the data that is previously stored. Now in the last part, we need to access the same web application from our host system. So let's again do the same process. Since the web application resides in virtual machine 1, right, we need to write its IP address in the web browser 192.168.100/form.html. Here we can see that the web application is open. So let's write another name, that is, let's write a name called let's write calculator. Email calc@gmail.com. Message is check from host system. Now let's submit the data. Here we can see that the data has been stored in the database successfully. Now let's again check it from check it in our database by again writing the same query. Select all from user details. Here we can see that the data has been stored, calculator, properly. So here we can see that even though this website web application is deployed in virtual machine 1, we are being able to access this website and its database, which resides in completely different virtual machines, and we are being able to access these both we are being able to access all these web applications, its database, by configuring its network properly. Therefore, we have demonstrated that the web application is accessible from virtual machine 3 as well as the system host as well as the host system. Thank you.